Last night is exactly the reason why we have the IPL. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, you are in the right place. You are in Wake Up Cricket powered by Pavilion Picks, where we talk about everything that's happened in the world of cricket. Again, if you don't know what I'm talking about, just stay tuned. Like, share, and subscribe, all that good stuff. Now, let's get into it.
Now, even if you know what we're talking about, worth diving into it with us. So, Mukul Choudhary stuns KKR to steal thriller for LSG. In the lead up to IPL 2026, Lucknow Super Giants coach Justin Langer believed that rookie Mukul Choudhary had the potential to become the scariest finisher in India. The 21-year-old showcased his potential and power, bashing a 25-ball half century, which snatched victory for LSG from Kolkata Knight Riders' grasp. When Chaudhary came into bat, LSG were 104 for 5 in the 13th over in the pursuit of 182. Chaudhary watched them slump further to 125 for 6 and then 128 for 7. He then took matters into his own hands with a display of incredible power hitting, but despite that, KKR were ahead and it boiled down to LSG needing 14 of the final over with 3 wickets in hand. After Avesh Khan got a single off the first ball, Chaudhary monstered Arora over square leg for 6. Arora then responded with 2 dots and a barely believable 6 on the next ball, a near wide Yorker brought the equation to 1 of 1. Chaudhary swung and missed the slow bouncer, but he scampered across for a leg by and completed a stunning turnaround for LSG. A new star is born in the IPL.
First of all, I know for a fact that the way Avish Khan celebrated that single yesterday, it brought about a lot of nightmares for a lot of RCB fans that I know. But that being said, yeah, the way Mukul Choudhary came about batting wasn't a surprise to a lot of people who have watched him play over the last 2 years. And even that is so less because before last night, he had only played 9 T20 games. And before last night, he had only played. It's this first season of the IPL, of course. But even before the IPL, he had only played a handful of T20 games starting from 2023. In 2023, he had played, I think, three T20 games in the Syed Mustaq Ali for Rajasthan. And in 2025, he had played four, is what I want to say, 4 or 5 T20 games in the Syed Mustaq Ali. Interestingly, though, every time he scored a 50, he had a strike rate of more than 190. So the man can bat big, the man can strike big. And every time he's been able to score those 50 runs, he's been able to strike at such a pace where the teams really needed him to. And that's exactly what happened last night as well. Justin Langer, I mean, there is a reason for why Justin Langer thinks he's one of the most dangerous finishers India needs to watch out for. And I don't like making comparisons, and I hate what I'm going to say next. But the way he went about batting yesterday reminded me of a batter who's currently injured for the Chennai Super Kings. He's old enough to retire, and a lot of people want him to retire, and a lot of people also want him to come back and play. And I don't mean to make comparisons in terms of technique, but just the sheer power behind the rest. The way he was able to get those sixes of just impossible deliveries shows the amount of power he has behind those wrists. And it was very much like the young MS Dhoni. And I also say that because in an interview when he was asked which player he looks up to, he said MS Dhoni also because Mukul Chaudhary is a wicketkeeper batter, and for the longest time he was, and for the longest time that's the player he would look up to, and it's not a surprise.
Hmm. Now, talking about young MS Dhoni, Mukul Chaudhary is just 21 years of age, and that obviously being fairly early in his career and him displaying so much promise. Moving on, unbeaten RCB call on RR to battle for the top spot. In the race leading up to IPL 2026, the conversation around Royal Challengers Bangalore and Rajasthan Royals revolved around valuations, ownership, and their much talked about sale. Within weeks, though, the focus has shifted to on field performances and the excitement these two sides have elicited. Their all win record seems almost incidental. If Vaibhav Suryavanshi has brought the box office appeal, Devdutt Padikkal has matched it with the purity of his stroke play and a high tempo presence at number 3. Yashasvi Jaiswal and Dhruv Jurel's authority at the top has been mirrored by Rajat Patidar's remarkable six hitting, while Nandreberger's pace and late swing have found an echo in Jacob Duffy's relentless hard lens. And this is without even mentioning Virat Kohli, an omnipresent force at the top, whose evolving approach has now carried into a third straight season. Success on the road was a defining feature of RCB's title winning campaign in 2025. They won all seven of their away games. A year on, they head into a demanding stretch away from home for two games with momentum behind them and after two commanding wins at the Chinnaswamy. But they also know RR are no longer the side that kept getting piped at the post. RCB themselves orchestrated one such heist, defending 17 of the final two overs in Bengaluru last year, courtesy of Josh Hazelwood. The one clear difference between the two sides lies in the middle order. RCB has looked imposing with Rajat Patidar and Tim David particularly menacing. They lead the competition in six hitting through the middle and death overs. RR, meanwhile, haven't had the chance to flex their middle order might, which can rather be a double-edged sword. The top order's explosiveness, Jaiswal and Suryavanshi have three successive half-century opening stands, has left Riyan Parag with limited time to settle and find his range.
That is true. Not just Riyan Parag, but Dhruv Jurel and so many batters for the Rajasthan Royals in the middle. It's interesting, right? Because a lot of people amongst a lot the cricket pundits and cricket analysts are watching out for today's game. RR versus RCB is going to be a fantastic match. Even if it's a one-sided match, it's going to be a fantastic match because you would look forward to CSK versus RCB because of the history that it has. But unfortunately, the kind of form CSK are in, it's not much of a contest. My God, those two words will kill me one day. And then, but then when you look at this season and when you look at RR and RCB, it's the kind of team balance that they have and the kind of form they're heading into this match with. And it's just, yeah, the kind of team balance is very interesting because when you look at RCB, they haven't changed much as compared to last year. They don't have Josh Hazelwood, but they still are one of the best teams this year, and they're still contenders, and they're playing like contenders. Except all of the matches so far have been at home, and dominating at home is quite easy, and this is where things get a little difficult because you go on the road and you have to win away games as well. Well, with RCB, it hasn't always been easy to defend games at home, but you know what I mean. And then Rajasthan Royals with the young explosive openers that they have, it will be so interesting to see. First of all, they have already taken apart Jasprit Bumrah. If they take apart Bhuvaneshwar Kumar, well, that's half your game won.
Indeed. Moving on to the next story, India's oldest test cricketer, C.D. Gopinath, dies at 96. C.D. Gopinath, the last surviving member of India's first test win, has died in Chennai at the age of 96. He was India's oldest test cricketer and second oldest worldwide after Australia's Neil Harvey. Born on 1st March 1930, Gopinath played 8 tests and 83 first-class matches for India and Madras. He made his test debut against England at the Brabant Stadium in 1951 and played his last match against Australia at Eden Gardens in 1960. Batting at number 8, Gopinath made an unbeaten 50 in his first innings on Test debut, his highest score, and followed it up with 42 in the second innings as India drew the match against England. The fifth Test of his debut series was a landmark moment in Indian cricket, with India recording their first Test victory by an innings and 8 runs at his home ground in Chennai. Gopinath made 35 in his only innings in that match. In an interview with the ESPN Cricinfo in 2024, Gopinath reflected on that memory. Some people from the UK came and interviewed me on the test match that India won for the first time in 1952. I think they were going to write a book or make a movie, and I said to them, how can you write a book on one test match, one season, or five test matches? Okay. Why only this test match? What's there to write so much about? They said, no, we regard that win as a turning point of Indian cricket. In one way, it is true, and I'm very lucky. I had that for India and I had that for Madras. I asked them, who else are you interviewing? They said, nobody else because there's nobody else alive. You're the only one from that team that's in there. I said, so I can say anything I want. He finished his test career with 242 runs in 12 innings to go with 4,259 runs at an average of 42.16 in first class cricket. He later served as a national selector and as a manager of the Indian team during the 1979 tour of England.
Now, just I don't know if this is necessary, but I'm going to do it either ways. To give you a little perspective on how old he was when he played his debut test match, you know the Vijay Hazare trophy that goes on, the 50 over domestic tournament, he played with Vijay Hazare. Do you remember Mohendra Amarnath, the 1983 World Cup final player of the match? He played with his dad. You know the monketing that Sunil Gavaskar doesn't like because it's named after Vinu Mankad. He played with him, all three of them in the same team while he debuted for the Indian team. that's how old he was. And it's great to see that he lived on for so long to see Indian cricket change so much, to not only be part of, excuse me, the first Indian test win, but to see India dominate. And we tied a series in England this year, last year. And hopefully he was able to see all of that, or at least witness it in some form. And it's just, yeah, it's just not, it's just beautiful to see that he was part of that team where in his debut match he also scored a 50. You can't forget that. With all of these players, he also scored a 50 in his debut innings, again, which was against England. And to win, or to be a part of the winning team against England in 1952, well, India dominated, by the way, in Chennai, where they not only won by an innings. India didn't even need to bat the second time, because they scored more than 450 plus in their first inning. So yeah, what a fantastic win, what a fantastic memory, and what a fantastic legend that he was of the game.
It's really interesting to hear about people who are in their 90s, right? Because they've seen so much. They were
Yep.
a part, or they have been a witness to India's freedom movement. So,
Yep.
I mean, even before that, in fact, he made his test debut 3 or 4 years after India became independent. So,
Yeah,
so
yeah,
much
51.
history in there. Exactly.
Yeah,
And so many anecdotes that he'd have from his experiences growing
true.
up in that time in the country. Moving on, Brazil's Laura Cardoso becomes the first player to take 9 for in a T20I. Brazil all-rounder Laura Cardoso became the first player in men's or women's cricket to take a 9-wicket haul in a T20I innings. She accomplished the feat against Lesotho during a Kalahari Women's T20I tournament in Botswana. Cardoso broke the record for best figures in a T20I innings, which previously belonged to Bhutan's male left-arm spinner Sonam Yeshe, who had figures of 8 for 7 against Myanmar last year. Among women, the record was formerly held by Indonesia's off spinner Romalia when she took 7 for none against Mongolia in April 2024. Cardoso's stunning figures helped Brazil thrash Lesotho by 189 runs, their third biggest victory in T20Is. Batting first, Brazil had blazed away to 202 for 8 during the innings. Cardoso would not have expected what awaited her in Brazil's bowling defense. She was out of her second ball for just 4 runs. In response, Lesotho never looked likely to chase the target. Cardoso started in the second over of the innings and secured a hat trick with wickets of her fourth, fifth, and sixth deliveries. It was only downhill from there for Lesotho. Cardoso continued in the fourth over to claim 4 more wickets in the space of 5 balls and then 2 more wickets in the sixth over. She ended with figures of 3, 2, 4, 9.
This is also why I love looking at the scorecards of these countries playing cricket matches, because they have the most astonishing scorecards where either they're not scoring a lot of runs, and even they're not scoring a lot of runs, there is this one player picking up a lot of wickets. Interestingly, though, and this might sound very harsh, I hope she doesn't come across this, because she just took 9 wickets. If it wasn't for those 9 wickets, her T20 career wasn't all that impressive. But she's played 48 games so far, picking up 50 odd wickets with an economy of 9.7, which is quite expensive if you think about it. But she's picking up wickets. She evidently got 9 wickets in a match. Who am I to say anything? I haven't gotten a five for in my life. So for her to say that she's got 9 wickets in a match, good on her. But it's these are things that make cricket very interesting, right? Because not only are the big teams, quote unquote, playing, but you always have so many countries playing all around the world. And for them to make headlines for reasons like this is just great for the game. And the fact that you think of Brazil playing cricket, because in no world when I was growing up would I think Brazil even know they know anything about cricket, because of how football centric they are. And of course, I'm sure they're still football centric, but the fact that they are playing cricket, and it's the women in the country playing cricket, I'm just very happy about it. I have not much to say for these 20 seconds to pass by, unless May has something to add. But yeah, the fact that she got 9 wickets yesterday, good on her. Very happy for her.
And it's really interesting the sort of records that they come up with. And in
True.
fact, most of these crazy records are actually owned by these up and coming teams. So, yeah,
Yes.
really worth watching out for them.
Yep.
Moving on, we talk about BCB. BCB changes timings of men's and women's games to support energy saving initiative. The match timings of the upcoming Bangladesh New Zealand men's white ball series and the women's T20I series between Bangladesh and Sri Lanka have been changed by the BCB to support the government's energy saving initiatives. All three ODIs in Dhaka and Chattogram were supposed to be day night affairs, but now the board has said they will bring the start time forward by 3 hours. The ODIs will now start at 11 a.m. local with the aim to finish the matches by sunset, which is around 6:30 p.m. during this time of the year. The BCB expects to save at least 4 hours in electricity consumption. The men's T20Is will start from 2 p.m. with the aim to finish them by 5:10 p.m. The first two T20Is in the three match series were initially scheduled for 6 p.m. starts, while the third T20I was already scheduled to start at 2 p.m. The women's T20I is to be held in Sylhet on April 28th, 30th, and May 2nd will now be held from 1:30 p.m. instead of the originally planned 6 p.m. starts. The board has decided to readjust the match timings of the forthcoming Bangladesh versus New Zealand ODI and T20I series to support the energy saving initiative of the Bangladesh government. The revised timing, which will be announced in due course, will aim to make maximum use of daylight in the day night games, the BCB said in a statement on Wednesday.
Now you would hope that PCB are doing this for the right reasons. I mean, I would think they are, but I say that because behind a lot of scheduling changes, there's always a couple of political reasons. Now I don't know if there are any. I'm just hoping that this is for the right reasons. Except when you think about it, that it's a bit of a double-edged sword, right? Because especially in the ODI game, if you're starting a match at 11 a.m., I haven't gone through the schedule myself, but if it's not on a weekend, you're not having stadiums filled. No
Yeah.
one's coming to watch a cricket game at 11 a.m., especially on a weekday, and which is also why your day night match is starting at 2 p.m. because by the time it was 4 5, midway through the first innings, you would have people coming into the stadium and filling. And by the time the first inning ends, you would have stadiums being filled. And even in these T20 games, I get the idea and it's great. And I'm not against the idea of saving energy because that's what you need in this world. But you would also have to consider the fact that would this be okay in terms of people coming into the stadium and watching cricket matches? Is this feasible for the stadiums? Is it feasible for the stadiums, for the cricketing board, but more than anything for the fans to come in and watch the game of cricket? That will be something to consider, and that will be, I'm sure, reflected upon after all these games. But yeah, I'm all for it if it's for the right reasons, and I'm all for it if it works out, and I'm all for it if they can push people to come and watch cricket in the stadium. So again, I don't really have much to say. So good on the Bangladesh Cricket Board is all I'll say.
So that's an interesting perspective, saving energy. But there's another side to it. In the Indian subcontinent, the summers in most regions are really harsh. And we're talking about May,
Oh,
when it
that's
already
also true.
starts
Yeah.
getting very hot. So, day matches, and that too at such a short notice, the schedule change, I think it is going to be quite tough on the players.
Yeah, that is true. I didn't even think about that. Yeah, harsh weather conditions.
Because you stay in Bengaluru, you needn't think about that. You've
True.
got pleasant weather all year round.
That's
Uh,
true.
Although this year it's been hotter. Nonetheless, this is not a channel where we discuss weather report. Moving on to the meme section, and you're almost accusing the umpires of hypocrisy.
I mean, yeah, I'm not accusing. There is hypocrisy. Checking boundary catches, yeah, it's. I mean, okay, so I wouldn't say the decisions that they're taking are wrong decisions. I just don't think they're spending enough time to get a right decision, even if it is right. Like the Guesh Rathi's catch yesterday, I just felt like they just. I didn't know if they were looking at the same thing that we were looking at, but I just didn't think they were spending enough time to get these catches right. And it's not just Digvesh Rathi, but it was Phil Salt in the first game against Sunrisers Hyderabad. And I'm not saying they are wrong decisions. I'm just saying spend a little more time to take those decisions because the amount of time they take to make a decision on a wide or not a wide is insane when you look at the decisions they take for the catches that seem to be controversial, at least according to a lot of team fans, fans of a team fans of certain team. And yeah, I just feel like, yeah, just take a little more time. You have all the time in the world. If you can take so much time for a wide decision, I'm sure a catch is a lot more important in that stage because you're either letting a batter go or the team gets a six. So I'm not calling out umpires for hypocrisy. I'm just saying, just do your job a little better. Is what I'm
Which is
saying.
like saying the same thing without saying the same thing.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. Yeah, the man's hitting the dartboard, closing his eyes, is them checking boundary catches. Not out, out. I feel like they give it depending on their mood. checking the wide reviews. Yeah, they have all the angles in the world. They have some imaginary line drawn, everything that they have. Yeah, for a wide review. First of all, a review that I frustrates me. As much as I get why it's important, man, it slows the game down. But for the wide for catches they take, they don't even take time. And I'm like, it should be the opposite. But yes, Megha, what's tonight's game? Because I have absolutely no idea what tonight's game is. Oh, of course,
You
tonight's
talked
game
about it.
is Rajasthan Royals versus the Royals. Yeah, Royal challenges Bangalore, a game to watch out for. Mega for tomorrow's prediction, sort of a thing that I keep putting on spot for. Do you have a player to watch out for? He doesn't have to perform extremely well, but like just a player across these two teams that we should keep an eye on.
Isn't that a no-brainer with Vaibhav Suryavanshi? The amount of ripples that he's been creating since the last season, you can't
Okay.
help but be like looking at him or look forward to him playing
Yeah, that
against
is true.
Bhuvneshwar Kumar. You
Oh,
build
yeah.
that clash as something to
Yeah, yeah.
watch out for.
Exactly. And so, which is exactly why you should also come back tomorrow to see how that contest, oh, thank God, contest took place. Come back at 8 a.m. at Wake Up Cricket powered by Pavilion Picks because this is the place where you know everything about in the world of cricket. Thank you so much for watching. See you guys
This
tomorrow.
context to that where you say contest and Mukunda is reminding us it's enough, guys. Go back.
Oh,
Bye.
context. Oh, God damn it. Right. But see you guys tomorrow.